Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real with Reverend Laura.
Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you have your coffee and are ready to start this day off. This is Keeping It Real, and my name is Reverend Laura, and it's my pleasure to be here with you. Keeping It Real is about taking a brief look at some kind of an issue that we're dealing with and seeing how we can bring about a real and effective change in our lives. You know, it's all really good to talk about principles and high ideas and things like that. But if we don't put them into practice in our lives, then it's just lip service. And so that's why I decided to do this Keeping It Real every Thursday morning this year, and just see if we can have a little bit of an experience of actual practical application of these ideas. And so each month we look at a different topic. Our theme for the year is building a community, and so we chose 12 ideas, 12 qualities that were important in building a successful community. And so each month we've been looking at a different one. And so as we're starting off the month of July here, our topic for the month is abundance. Now, normally when we think about abundance, we automatically go to money, and money is one of the biggest concerns of everyone in the world right now. Look at any kind of a poll where they ask, what is your greatest fear? There's something to do with money around it generally. You know, there are other things, but even some of those things have a money component tied to them. And so it's natural to think about abundance in terms of money. And, abundance is one of those qualities that we say is the natural state of spirit of the universe, that we live in a world of abundance, that there are infinite possibilities available to us all the time, and that all we have to do is to begin to seek those out and allow them to be part of our experience, to know that they are possible, and then to do what we're called to do to bring those into our lives in a real and practical way. But I think most of us have found times in our lives where it seemed like it was really hard to bring in any kind of extra funds, any kind of money. We've struggled with money in one way or another, even if it's a minute thing, like I've got to wait till my paycheck comes on, it's Wednesday and I'm not going to get paid till Friday. And so I have to, make sure I don't spend any money between now and then for people that live from paycheck to paycheck. And I know that's a big part of our society lives that way. So one of the things that we can do is to look at what are those beliefs that we have that are stopping us from experiencing a greater abundance in our lives, in whatever area that is. It could be that we have blocks around relationships, and so we feel like we don't have an abundance of love in our lives because we've got blocks around that. Or it could be something to do with our health, where we're thinking, I'm not having the experience of a healthy body that I want to have. What are my beliefs around that? And so as we begin to take a look at our hidden beliefs, our ideas that sometimes we're aware of them, sometimes we're not. But when we begin to develop the awareness of those things that are hidden beliefs that we're not sure are really operating in our lives, then we can begin to clear those things away. We can do the work that is necessary to change that belief system. Because that's what it's all about. It's about looking at what we think is happening here and asking ourselves, is that true? Is this really the truth of me? Do I actually live in a world where I will never get ahead? Or do I live in a world where there are infinite possibilities and I just have to find the right one to help me have that greater experience? A whole different way of being, a whole way of feeling when we change from it's never going to happen to, yeah, I know it's out there and I just have to find the way to make it happen in my life. A whole different experience of life when we do that, when we make those little shifts like that. And so there's some things that we can do. One of the spiritual practices I like is it's kind of meditative, it's kind of contemplative. It's asking myself some deep probing questions and then just listening for the answers. I start each morning off with a spiritual practice where I draw a mandala and I ask myself questions. Sometimes there's something that's very, very problematic in my life, and I'll ask a question around that, and then I just do my drawing practice, and I see what spirit wants to tell me, and generally something comes through. Sometimes it's another question that I need to sit with. Sometimes it's a very clear, powerful answer. I just have to take the time to become still enough and receptive enough to hear the answer. And so we can ask ourselves, what is in this situation that I need to get clear about? Whatever that situation is that you happen to be dealing with right now. Let's just say it's around money. What was my belief around this money, around this situation, dealing with money? Am I being truly honest with myself here? Do I think this is something I should have? Or is it just something that I want? Looking at that, it's like, what is it here? Sometimes we want and want and want, and yet we find that when we get it, it really wasn't very satisfactory. It really wasn't maybe necessarily for our highest and greatest good. Sometimes the wanting can be problematic in our lives. Who is somebody I can go to ask for some good advice about this? Maybe I have a professional person that I would like to find to ask me about that. A financial advisor or someone that can help me, manage my money in a different way. Maybe it's somebody personal that I know. Maybe a family member or a good friend that has worked through these challenges themselves. Who can I ask for advice? Do I even believe that there is a solution possible in this situation, and that I have everything I need within me to bring it to a solution, to bring it to a closure in my life? Am I being realistic about where I am and what the situation is? Or am I being idealistic? Thinking it needs to be something that it isn't, where in reality it's perfectly fine. And the other question that we always have to ask ourselves is, where can I take more personal responsibility? Because nothing ever shifts in our lives unless we make a shift within ourselves personally. That's how we grow and change, is by changing our consciousness, changing our belief system, becoming more in tune with how the universe is moving through us all of the time. And when we do that, then we wind up experiencing a greater abundance in our lives, a greater degree of freedom in our lives, satisfaction in our lives, more love, all of those things. When we actually get really clear about what it is I believe about this situation, and then work to eliminate those things that are erroneous. We've bought into a lot of different things in this world that are not actually true statements. To think that the world only has a certain number of resources is absolutely one of the most erroneous things that we can ever bring into our experience. There are certain resources, yes, that have a limited amount to them, but there is something else available that will do just as good or even better in the situation. You think about things like that, and at all times we have an opportunity to go within, see what's operating in our belief system, see how we can align ourselves more with the truth, and then allow that to live through us. And that's how we create a more abundant experience of life in all areas of our lives. So each week this month, we're going to be looking at some different ideas around abundance. I hope you consider joining us on Thursday mornings at 9 a.m. or watching our rebroadcast later on throughout the week. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Keeping it real with Reverend Laura.